from the cloud. Recording. Now let me share my screen. And now let me share here. Yeah. You are able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for joining today, is Saturday, and you joining this. I really appreciate this. As I have already mentioned in the class, that it would be nice that how we can create a software to connect it to MySQL. This material is out of the scope of the course. However, it will be, I believe that you need to know about this. How? Because so far, we write a query, we write it directly in the PHP-MyAdmin, but with a compiler that's part from the database management system. But so far, as we have already discussed before, that, oops, where it is here. Still not showing correctly my screen, sorry. So we said we have the following. This is database here. Josh, go ahead. I will not share the lecture with you, Josh.
Okay, no worries then.
No, maybe I will share it. Okay, give me this introduction. I can.
I was just about to ask, like, are you going to share this recording?
Yeah, I will share it, sure.
Good, thank you.
I will share it with the whole people in the two sections. And then we will have also this is part from the database management system. So the database management system had an interface. We name it, it's not we name it, its name is PHP-MyAdmin. So far, what we are doing that we write the query here, either DDL or DML. And the database management system will execute the query and get the value from here. But in reality, you will have a software that has a GUI interface. It talks with the database management system, sends the query as a text. The database management system will consider the query and compile it, get the values, return it back to the interface where the user can see it. If you want me to share the lecture, Josh, yeah, I will do it. Give me just 1 second to just send it here if you want. Even though later I'm going to send another version from this, but for now on, yes, we can do it. Or save. No. I have problem with the Microsoft. I'm using the live version and I save it as a PDF now. Yeah, it's working. Here it is, demo. Where it save it? Here, demo. I will share it in the chat with you. But maybe I will update it later when I'm going to upload it to Blackboard. So do you have access now, guys, for this? Do you have access now in the chat?
Yeah, we got it.
Perfect. Let me share my screen again. I should share my screen, not only. Oh, so returning back to the lecture. So to do this, I use MySQL as exam, which is we use it in this course. There is a software, you can use it, or you can use PHPMyAdmin, no need for this software. It is the same like PHPMyAdmin, which means give you an interface to work directly with the database. You need NetBeans because I will do it today based on Java. And you need this JConnector, which is JDBC. This is a library that include all classes with the functionality that they are you are going to use them to execute the function related to the connection between MySQL server and the database in this case. I'm sorry, the interface, Java application. So if you can download it from this website, because we are going to include this as a part from our software. I think so on most of the libraries, most of the programming languages, you need to import special libraries if there are predefined functions that you need to use them. In Java, we have this JDBC connector that we can use it in this case. I'm not doing a web-based, we are doing a desktop, because for the web-based one, we are going to see this in our web programming when we are going to learn PHP and connect this with MySQL. So I chose Java because it's most of you have already either finished Java or finished another programming language, but not many of you still doesn't have the web programming course. So I think so what we are going to do in Java is very similar in other programming language, but again, it would be nice to know more about here. So what are the steps now? And then this is, I put here for the people who has already Mac, and I will show you again the next one without this, using Windows one. So you create a project, whatever the project, and then, okay, let me create a project first now. You can see the whole my screen, huh? Is it correct? Not only the presentation.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so I will go file a new project. I will add Java application and said, okay, whatever it is a Java application that I want. And then I created it. Now, if I have to go to the properties here, in a way that I should consider that I need library. So I need to add whatever library I need to add it, like I did here. Return to this one. So I add the library of JDBC. I said you can download it. It is free. So either after you download it, you will go to libraries and you add it. Add this one. In order that you can use it. because there is a predefined function already being in this. Just we are going to call them. And don't forget, Java is a pure object-oriented. So whenever you want to call a function defined in a class, you should create an object as an instance from this class to call this function. Okay, so now I finished. I created a project. It is an empty project. Forget about the interface now. I will make this presentation has two parts. The first part about what is different functionality. We have this in the Java to connect to a database. The second part, we are going to create an interface using the functionality that we are going to discuss now. So let me return here. So here, whenever you want to create a connection, you should first establish what we name it, a connection with the database. Don't forget that the database is a server. Now you are a client dealing with a server. So there is a predefined function having this object, but in the other one, I will create a class. Do you see? I think so. Let me go there. Let me start from here. Forget about what you have. Let me start from here. I think so. This is better to go step by step. So let us create in the database this table. This table has 3 attributes. First name, age, last name. Do you remember how we can create it? You can go here, test. I created it. So I have 3, first name, age, last name. I will delete everything here because I was making some dummy data here. Okay, so the first step to create a table. I think so all of you, we have already done this many times as a class. We are going to deal only with one table, which is, I name it add under the database test. So the first step, I create a Java project. It is an empty one. I add the library JDBC as a setting. Third step, I created the table as an empty table in the database. So far, nothing new. Let's start about what we are going to do. What we are going to do is, as this is the steps that I have already mentioned before. I have to create the class that is related directly for the connection. Okay, the guys who are here, the PowerPoint, I need to reconsider. So this version, maybe later I have to send an updated one because I don't have so much time to take care of just it is from old slide. I have it here, but the demo will be based on this, but I need to send you a refreshed one. So anyone know about object-oriented here? Josh, are you familiar with it?
Yes. I've used Java before.
Perfect. So this is, we have already a class. We name it connection. And we have already a class. We name it statement. Not we name it. It is already, this is the name. And there is a result set. If I return here very quickly, so the connection that came from this class, there is already a function that you can use it to establish a connection. Because we have a client and we have a server. First, like any client-server communication, you should establish a connection. You should tell the server, I'm here. I have the credential to talk with you. First, you should know where is the server. In our case, we have a local host. And the database that we're going to talk about is a test. And then the username here is going to be root. And the password, there is no password. Again, this is settings. There is another class named statement that all the functions that relate for executing the query are defined there. What function there are? Okay. We have something, we name it statement. Forget about prepaid statement. Let's talk about statement object. Java, there is a role. Whenever you want to call a function from any class, you should create an object from this class. The statement, the connection, they have all these class already defined in Java. This class already part from the JJDBC library that I have already imported here. I'm going just to call the function, but I should understand these functions in which classes they are, and then to create from this. So far, I can see that I have a statement, and I have what I name it, connection, not name it. It is already more existing connection. The connection object, I will use it to call the function, which is get connection. And this takes 3 parameters. The location of the server. If it is online, then you send the link, the username and password. We were talking about the MySQL server. In the statement, there is something we name it execute query, execute update. Execute query, it's more, we use this whenever we are going to execute a query with that return results. Execute update, these function, we are going to use it whenever the query doesn't return result. Okay. So far we know 4 different queries: select, update, delete, and insert. So select, we expect a result sometimes. So we are going to use execute a query. Update, we don't expect to return a result. We use execute update. Delete, we don't expect to execute a result. So we can use execute update. We will pass the query as a parameter. Again, this is a predefined function. It is a predefined function. Execute a query, it also considers a query that we are going to execute it with a result. The result set, this is the third class, we should be familiar with it. Connection, we create an object to call a function to make a connection. Statement to execute a query, execute update. And the result set, it will return for us the result as a part using an object from this class. It will be the values will be part from this result object. So we need the statement to execute the functions, to execute the query. And we need the result set. When we will fetch the result, they will be saved using this object. And we need a connection to establish a connection at the first step. And from the result set, there is get string and get integer. We will see it now here, where we use them after we have the values here to get the result or get the integer. You should be aware also about something we name it a prepared statement. It's more, here we will not use it today, but just to know about it. Whenever we have a prepaid statement, which is a predefined statement, which is a predefined query, we are going to use it different times. Then we will define different parameters and we use it. But in our case, we will write the query as a string value and we will pass it either using execute query, execute update. Okay, let's return to this. So we have now this table, it's empty, and I will do two things today. Select data and insert data. Okay, before I continue about what I'm going to do and how we are going to make the connection using what I have already discussed so far, first I have to create now the GUI. So I can go now to the NetBeans. Where it is, here it is. So here in Java, sorry, this is, I have to create a new, but in this case, I can have not a normal one. I can use either GFrame or gpanel, one of them. So create one of them, as I did here in the add, for example. Here in the add, because if you do it, suppose that I will make it here, and then I will go to the code that I have it, whatever it is. I will make it as a G. Here you will get, whenever you use it, it's part from there is a library named JSwing, where you can create a classes with a graphical user interface component. You can add the component here. Okay, let me go to the add that I have already. Go to the design. In the add, I need to have input, 3 input, and a bottom. I just add here. It's already being defined here. We have it here. Bottom, you can add whatever bottom you want here. And also you will have the text here, text area or text. Here we will use text field, not text area. Text area, you will have more than one line. Text field will have only line. So drag and drop. Now, there are some components like the bottom where you can define what we name it action listener. Action listener. Or event listener where there will be action performed. When I double click in a bottom, it is a double click. So based on this, there should be an action. This is what we'll do it later. So just we will make a static design now. I expect to have one for the add interface, and another one I do it like this, design one, where I will ask the user for the first name. Don't forget about the database. Returning back to the database, we have here the structure. We will have, so here structure. So we have first name, age, last name. So I will create the database, here that I need by first name to select data. So I created drag and drop. I need a label and I need a text. Here it is, a text. You can see it as we have already got it before. Here it is, text. And then I make a button. Later I will, for this event handling, I will make an action to establish the data. I show you now about three main objects you needed. The connection, the statement, because it contain the functionality, and the result set, because this is, you will use the object to get the result. I should create a standing alone class. Forget about the main. The main method here, it's also have two buttons. It take me either to this interface or second interface. It is too easy. In Java, I said new add, which is this add one, set visible. This is the action I'm telling you about it. You can double click, and that JBottom action performed, you will create a new instance from this form and set visible equal true. In the second one, sorry, in the second one here, I will make a new select, which is a new instance from this, and make a set visible true. The main aim from the main, because in Java you should have a main class. So the main class is the first class that will show for the user when you run the application. Here, I have just two buttons. Each button will take me to either to the add or select. So I'm finished now with a graphical user interface, but there is no functionality. They do nothing, just a graphical user interface. Now there is what we name it a data access class, where we will write the code about creating the connection and establishing the functionality that you are need them as apart from the GUI interaction, which is the main core in this case. I will say, I name it connect. So don't mix between connect and connection. Connection, it is an object. Sorry, con is an object from a class connection. So I need three classes here. As I said, connection statement result set. Just I show you. I'm sorry, this is not easy to go between the lecture and so I told you that we need a connection to make connection, and then we need the statement, because in the statement there are two functions we use them, execute query and execute update, and there is function we name it, or there is object result set, we will use it. So returning back here, I create three instances. People who are not familiar with Java object-oriented, in Java, if you create a class, you need to use any functions, then you need to create an instance of the class. This is what I did. I create an instance from these three classes. Now, I said connect, this is a constructor. Constructor here means that whenever an instance from this class later will be created, then this is going to be done. Here, I define the values. What is a user root? Just string values. Password, empty. This is the parameters based on the database management system that we are going to talk with it. What is the settings? The PHP by admin that we are using, sorry, the MySQL that we are using version here is by default user root and password 0, null, sorry. And the database name test. I don't have to do it, but this is more professional to do it like this, having a name, giving each value in a variable. And now I will establish the connection. This is just a line to check if the plugin, which is the JDBC, exists. Yes, no. Because if it doesn't exist in this application, I should stop. Now I make what we have already seen before. I call this function. This function is already part from this class. I said this con, which is I created, it should be here constructed using, because this function return a connection object. It takes three parameters. Where is my that server, user, and pass. And then I create the statement object using this function, create statement. Why? And I said if there is a result set, I have to use it. In case insensitive. This is more advanced, but you don't have to use it. Just you can create statement. But it's better because sometimes about insensitivity with type scroll in this case. So, and I created a result set. Now, I make two functions. First function that I will use it later to call. Do you remember I said that we have two functions, execute query and update query. They are defined in this class. I can use it to bypass the query as a string. I said, I name as the query. This, it will take as a string, as a query later. And if just this is here, I use to create this, I said statement that execute, it take it. So in the data access class, I am going to define, yes, Boris, give me just a couple of seconds and I'll be with you. I'm going to define the functionalities that they are related about the connection between the database and a middleware with the interface. The interface will take the values, will put the values in a string query. It will send it here to this middleware class by calling function I defined it here, and this function will go to execute the query in the database. So let me just draw it here. It's good if I can draw it here. So the database management system is here. We have Java application we are building. It has two parts. The GUI, graphical user interface, which will have, we have already created it, having different buttons and text values. We should have, as a part from the application, another class that later we will use it to execute some functions that will establish connection and execute a query. Because in this class later, we will create an object from here. This object, we will call function that we have it here to pass the value from the interface to this function that will execute this query. This is what I'm doing here, returning here. What I'm doing here is, first I create a function, I name it connect, that establish a connection. I'm creating another function, I name it SQuery, that take query as a string and executed and put the values in a result, I name it RES. Just, I will define what is the input that will come later from the graphical user interface and what is the output that later will be returned to also to the graphical user interface class. And in Java, it is if you have a class A, class B, and a class C. If you want to use a function in a class B in A, then you create an object of B in A, and you call the function of B in A. So I create the function that queries and connections in a class, I name it connect, or connection. Sorry, connect, not connection. And later, I will create an object from this class in the graphical user interface to call this function. Why we have to do this? Because the functionality concerning establish a connection or writing a query with result or without result, we are going to use it in different interface. So if we write the code of the connection or executing in a query in the one of the interface classes, then we are going to make a double coding. So we will put the whole code in one class that is related to talk directly with the database. And in each interface, we need to send a data or view a data. We can create an instance object from this class and we can call the function. Sorry, Boris, to let you wait. Go ahead. Just because this sequence I have to. Boris, go ahead. I'm not able to hear you. I don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, so I wanted to ask. Let's see. Give me a second.
If you want, I can continue to make the whole cycle and then you can ask, or you can ask now, it's up to you.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask in in the constructor of connect. So I saw in the con where you called the drive manager.get connection.
Yeah,
So I wanted to
because
know.
this function is already being defined in this class.
Yeah,
I'm
so I
just
wanted to
calling-
know. I wanted to know in the connection, do you have to create the getters and setters for the connection or no? So that we can use the get connection.
Can you repeat your question? Do I have
Yeah.
one? I didn't.
Yeah, my question is for connection, like private connection, do I have to create like getters and setters for it or no?
In this case, there is no, because in this case, you're just passing the values to establish the connection.
Oh, okay.
So no need to do this in this case.
All right.
So here, you should be aware, Boris, that it takes 3 values.
Okay.
The first about what is the database link, and then a username and password. So the second function is a query. Query. I name it a query. You can name it whatever you want. It will execute a query function, which means that the first function that I name it as a query, or a query, or eQuery, which is more for the update, but we will not use it in case we name it to execute a query, or execute update, or execute a query here with a change flag if you need this flag. If you don't need it, you just make this more simpler. It takes a query as a string and return the value in the result and the object, what you name it, res. Now let's go to the add. Here in this, after we have already created this interface, I need to define, as apart from the event handling here, the action performed by getting the values, 3 values, and passing an object from the connect class, because this object has a functionality that it will talk with the database. So it is a liaison between the graphical user interface in this case and the database, which is the connect I'm talking. So if I go here, I create an instance from this class, connect. And then I get the value from the first text box, the value from the second. I save it in a variable. I get the value from the age. I make just a conversion as an integer. I save it here. Now, I just create the query as a string value that you know about insert into table, blah, 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 all that we know the values. You see, when you write a code in a systematic way, it will be an easy one. Here, I execute the eQuery function that I defined here. What is the eQuery function? Return back here. eQuery said you will pass a string value. We will execute update by this because there is no expected result using statement objects that I defined here, because this execute update is defined here in the statement in this case. So here returning in the add, so I will execute the query. There is no result updated. Then I said visible false, because for me, let me run this. Maybe I have already. Yeah. Sorry. So this is the main. Oh, sorry. The main has 2 buttons, as I have already shown you this. The first one will make this frame visible, and the second one makes this visible. So I will go to the add now. Here, the add has this interface. Whenever I will press this, it should execute this, where create an object from the connect, get the values, put them in a string query, and call this function that I defined in the connect. So I will write, let's double check first our database. Is it empty? So there is no values here. It's totally empty. So I will write Boris. So I'm writing your name. Can you give us your age? I will say it. You have 20. Is it correct, Boris? Is it correct, Boris? 20 or not?
No, it's not correct.
21? No, 19.
No, 23.
How? How old?
I'm 23.
Oh, you are mature now.
Yeah.
So add. Now, after I press add, because according to my code, if I press this, then it will be visible false. So there was no need for this. Just keep the mainframe. Let's see if then database we have now the values. I need to refresh and then go to the data. Here the data now. We have Boris as a first name, age 23, and Masisa. Is it correctly your family name, Boris?
Yeah, it's my Cesar.
Masisa.
Yeah.
So now I have the values here in the database. Again, the main core is this class for me. You should create your own data access layer or class where it has all functionality related about executing the query and establish a connection. I know it's not any easy. I said it's more advanced and people should have somehow more advanced skill in Java to know how to use it. So let's go to the select now. Select, I will take the value here. Based on this bottom, I want to show the value here. Okay, let's go now. So what is the action should be performed here? So here, somehow about this is, because I mean, first I have to make the connection. We will talk more about this now. And then I will have to write the query. What is a query? Select based on the name, because I have to pass the name. And then having the query function that we defined here, that I give it as a string and get the result. I use it, and then the result will be in the result set. Now, the result set can be a multi-dimensional array. You can see it as this, like a multi-dimensional array, which is each record will be one line of the array, and it has 3 values, as I say, the values that return from the table. So it is a multi-dimensional array. So, and then I make a looping, and in which iteration I will fetch one value. I just use this default list model just for viewing, because I expect maybe I will have more than one, and will add the element for this while I'm making the fetching in this case. And because I'm already created it, so the values will be added element line by line in this case. Let's go now, still we have it here. Oh, it's not a delete, it should be select. There is a typo mistake here. So let me correct it from here. Maybe because if I upload it later. Select the person. Okay, run it again. So if I press this, it will take me to the other one. I will want to say Boris. It should return the selected Boris. So it returned for us Boris, age 23, and the family name Masasa.
Yeah.
So if I write everything, it shouldn't return any result for me because it doesn't exist in the database. So again, the main core is to understand more that the graphical user interface creating it's too easy, just drag and drop. There should be an action button that you should consider it, like I did here. You write the code here. In the code, you will get the values, and then you will call a function from the data access layer or class that you have already defined here. So this should be related to your database. What is your database? What do you expect to do this? It takes this value, executes them. Any question? I'm open to question. I'm done with my interface, so we can add more values here.
My question is, if you're using another IDE apart from JBeans, like where do we get the where I can put my graphical user interface.
It is not because of the editor, because when I created, even though most of the editor will show you this, I add the Java. If you add it as a normal Java, like here, there is more design.
Yeah.
But when you are going to add it, you should add it either GFrame or GPanel form.
Yeah,
Not a normal Java class. In all editor you should have this option. If they don't have the graphical user interface as an add-ons, you can add it. But the point that it's not only that the editor or IDE that you are using it, it has a design component. Also, when you are going to choose the Java file or the Java class, it should be a JFrame or a JPanel, which is apart from the JSwing package. You got my point?
Yeah.
So now I can create it. Now you can see now it show me here the swing containers. This is what I'm saying with swing, JSwing in this case. So yes, maybe some of them, they don't have this interface, but even though they will have it, for example here, it will not show me the interface because this is a normal Java class.
Yeah, so for instance, for me, I'm using IntelliJ. So I created a project as normal as the way we create. And
Yeah.
it's where for me to create my new Java class or where I want to create something like a new file, I'll go to like SRS, like the source folder. So whenever I click that one as a new, it doesn't give me any option like to create a.
Yeah, in this case, you can write a hard code or you can use this one. In this case, if you can go here, you can go to the hard one. You should say extend JVX swing JPanel in this case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, if you don't have the designer here, it's not easy this case. You have to write everything by your hand.
Yeah.
So if you want to write it from scratch, you can create it is a class, but you should extend JX swing.
Okay.
So whenever you make this extension, then you can add different object from this package.
All right.
As here, which is like a radio button, but in this case, you have to write the code by yourself if you don't have this editor. Which means I recommend it to use. It is a free one. It is by Apache also. That means
okay.
It's a free one, like the exam, both owned by Apache company.
Oh, okay.
And open source guy. I always use open source stuff. Josh, Muhammad, Asira, David, anyone have a question for me? I will prepare. I have to prepare the lecture note in a better way, better sequence. So ignore the version that you will have. I will upload it later with a video with a better version for the lecture note.
Yeah, I just have a question. So actually a couple. So the entire project is due on the 5th, right? So Monday.
Yeah, I said this is optional.
Yeah, but like it's still due on the 5th, right?
Yeah.
So when we send you the entire project, in what format are we supposed to send it? Like, do we send you the DDL and the DML and or just screenshots as well?
Okay, in the project guidelines, I said that you should send a report that include your ER diagram, the schema. The ER diagram, you know how to do it. The schema, you know how to do it. And the DDL queries, the queries themselves,
yes,
and the DML queries.
Okay.
You can add, it's better, but I didn't ask it in a very clear way. So if some people didn't do it, it's okay. But I prefer to that for the queries, the DML query, add a screenshot about the output that you will get.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that clears things up. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Josh.
Yeah, I was just curious. I thought the due date was today because I was looking at the Blackboard.
He is from another section, so.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
He's from the in-person section. You are from the online section, and
Yeah.
so the presentation is for you is on Monday, so the due date is before. Their presentation is on Wednesday.
I was curious, how many DML queries were you expecting out of this exactly? Because we have a couple, but we're not sure how many you'd want because you don't have any.
I will not be very restricted person, so I will keep it up to you.
Okay.
But I can say 4 to 5, 6 are okay.
Okay. I'll see about maybe being able to do this tonight, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it before the due date. But yeah, I might just do it for fun though.
Yeah, it's not easy to do it. We don't have time, and my main concern was to finish the course material, and especially for the online. For the online course, you have less sessions compared to the in-person. So the in-person class, we have more time to practice more exercises, but I lost one of them because one of them I had a car accident the last week, so I didn't went to the campus. I was going to the campus and I have an accident. So I was planning to give it in a class for them, but I didn't do it. So you and them, you are now at the same level.
Okay.
Again, it is an option.
Yeah, I just wanted to do it because it's good practice. But yeah.
Yes. If
I
you
think
still can do it, I will share the code. I will share with you the code. I will share the lecture note and the video.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll see about doing it tonight, but I also want to relax because it's been a long week. I've been doing a lot of projects back and forth with engineering and physics, and it's just nonstop. So, yeah.
Okay, Asira, David, do you have a question for me?
Professor, is there any chance to move the submission time to tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, you mean the solution for what?
It's today midnight, right?
I forgot about the deadline, to be honest.
Yeah, she's talking about the deadline for this project because right now it's set to tonight at midnight. So yeah.
I will say that the deadline is tonight. So if it is tonight, then it is tonight. But if any person has any special request, then send it by email.
I was actually going to ask about the presentation.
Okay, guys, if you are not going to ask any more about this because everything is recorded and you're asking something private, so let me stop recording and then you can ask. What are you going to ask anything about the demo? I will be with you.
No,
so
I was just going to ask about the project.
Anything about the demo, let me stop recording. Where to stop recording here? It doesn't want to stop recording. Stop sharing. And now here it is. Stop recording.